Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me, and good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, quite right. I just had a training session this morning, so came straight here. Just firstly, apologies from my head coach, Gavin Hunt. Obviously, we've explained why he's not able to be here today. But it's always an honor and a pleasure for me to come and sit and chat with you guys. So thanks for having me. Just the game tomorrow, I think. On the weekend, I think is always a massive one for us. And past battles with a team like Orlando Pirates have yielded some clinical displays from both teams. And it's a game I think that we as a club go into on the back of not some good form. Our league position will state that. And what it does do is it gives us a break from the league, so that we can focus on just something different, try a few different things with players, setups, formations, etc., and build that again towards our league campaign after this particular game. But the game itself, I certainly am looking forward to. I think every coach does, every player does look forward to playing against a team like Orlando Pirates, and they're a team in some fine form at the moment. They've got their own aspirations and ambitions to mount a strong challenge to Mamelodi Sundowns, and they're certainly not doing too badly on that front. So we're definitely going to have our work cut out for us tomorrow or on the weekend.
Thank you, Coach. Let's take questions from the floor, just by a show of hands. We are still in the live section, so questions that will be able to go out before 8 p.m. Do we have any hands? Let's go to Tiseto because it's a new hand. Temba, I've noted you. Sunday papers, I would have thought you would have wanted the embargo section. Go ahead. Oh, but you will no longer
Thanks very much. Thanks, Coach. I think the last time you won this competition, you would have been there 2016, 17 back to back. But since then, 7 seasons, it's been first round, quarter-final here and there. What do you think has been the difference over the past 7 seasons?
Yeah, thanks, but that's a good question, because I think you'll remember in the past we started to have that whole mantle of being cup kings, if you like, and we loved it. We thrived on that. We along the way we sort of built really good squads of players and players who could take us the distance in any cup competition. So there was a lot of focus on that as well. Our squads change a bit over time. And I think one of the key aspects along those lines is I think where we've gone as a club. In terms of our development structures and developing to sell, that type of thing. So that's become the lifeblood of our club, and sometimes it does pose a little bit of a problem trying to keep squads together, for example. But we've been able to manage that. I think that we've fallen maybe a little bit short on the focus of these cup competitions, because as you know, any club and any team and any coach will tell you that the league takes priority over cups, but it does give you a sort of feel-good factor, and that's one of the reasons why we feel that we need to embrace this opportunity, because of the stats that you've just given, in terms of when last we did well and won a cup competition like this, and that sits in our minds, and we feel that first and foremost in this particular cup now we needed to try and go as deep as we possibly could, and to come to this stage now is a step in the right direction for us. Yes, we're coming up against the holders, against the super strong team like Pirates, who've done really well. You could say they've become cup kings at the moment in recent times. So it's a good test for us. We need to go and put a squad together, put a starting 11 together that we feel will not only challenge them, but feel that we could win the game as well. So it's something that we think about a lot, and it's something that we want to get back to in terms of even potentially reaching this cup final.
All right. Can we get the microphone to Neo? Thank you.
Thank you, Faju. And then, Coach.
How you doing?
Coach, just alluding in your opening remarks that the season hasn't been quite well. What would you say has sort of been the cause of these challenges that you guys have been experiencing throughout this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that, you know, we've let one or two key players go. I think during that particular period, Chandra Campbell was one name that, you know, we were hoping to build and keep. But, you know, sometimes these decisions have to be made. I think also in the best interest of the player. I'm just using him as an example. And look where he is now. He's gone on to great things. So we're not in the business of holding players back. We're in the business of allowing them to go and pursue their future and reach great heights. And he's busy doing that at the moment. We also have had to blood a lot of young players. There's no doubt about that. And those young players are only sort of reaching their straps now. I look at players like Sian Debele, who's come in as a left centre back, for example, alongside Eme Ocon. These are 20, 21-year-olds who now are starting to cement their place in the team on a regular basis. So it's taken a while, and we haven't always got the results. We've fallen short on the injury front to key players. You know, we've lost a few. We've had Tashreeq Morris now move on, and we brought in Christian Saile. So these players are still got to get used to the style of play and fit into the team. We've lost Bradley Grobler with a massive facial injury that required serious operation. He's only making his way back now. It was good that we got it, that he got some game time in our last game now. So we're trying to get him into this important game on the weekend as well. So it literally has been a problem for us in terms of keeping players fit, injury free, for example, and not suspended. So there have been times where we've had to chop and change starting 11s, and no coach wants to do that because there's no harmony in the team. You've got to rebuild that harmony, for example. I know it may sound like excuses, but because every player has to come in and do a job, but it does make a difference when you're playing very close to the same starting team week in and week out, and that's been a bit of a problem for us at the moment.
All right, let's move on to Jabulu.
Jabulu from Mr. Coach, Supersport has a very impressive record against Pirates at home, especially in Polokwane. What do you think is behind that? And if I can sneak in a second, how proud are you in terms of looking at where Chandra is and what inspiration does it serve to the current squad?
Yeah, thanks for the question. You're right, we do have a record that we're pretty proud of, and that goes quite a way back. I think our secret is to turn the Pirates fans against them when we play in Polokwane as much as we can. No, I'm only kidding. I think it's using it to our advantage. It really is. So we always feel that, and Pirates are a club with massive support anywhere around the country, and it doesn't matter where we play them. We always feel that the longer you can sustain an onslaught or a challenge from an attacking perspective from a club like Pirates, the more impatient fans get, and that sort of helps the away, or helps us, for example, if you like. And that's always a tactic that we hope works. Sometimes it doesn't, but I think for me the main reason for that is it's a game where, as a coach, you don't have to inspire your team. It naturally happens because it's a big club, it's a big stage, it's a big cup competition, and the players want to do well. The players want to walk tall the next day with a lot of pride, and that for me is always going to be a motivating factor for our players. So we're very happy about that kind of approach. And ultimately, in the end, the players are the ones that have got to go and do the job on the field. As for Chandra Campbell, I'm very proud. I really am. And I'm just one of the coaching staff who've had the honor of working with him. You know, we've got youth team coaches who've spent even more time with Chandra since he was. It almost feels like a Ronman Williams story. I coached Ronman when he was 12 years old and still coming through the ranks. We've got youth development coaches at our club who've done the same with Chandra Campbell and saw his growth, nurtured him through the different processes and the journey that he's on at the moment. And but it also comes down to the player and the attitude and the willingness and the desire. to want to go abroad, to want to better themselves, to want to play at the highest level. He sat on the bench against Aston Villa in the last game now in the Champions League. Maybe he'll get to play in the reverse fixture of that particular game. And that's what we're all hoping, that's what we all want to see. More of our players playing at the highest level, because it's only going to benefit our national team. And I can't wait for Chandra Campbell to come and represent our national team, for example. So he's creating a better life for himself, financially and, of course, playing style, playing ability as well. So as a club, there's no doubt that everyone in the club is super proud of it.
All right, let's go to Ronaldo. Just here in front. Okay, the microphone.
Coach, it has been a tough season for Supersport United, but if you look at the results like the Kaizer Chiefs one, what kind of effort would it take for your players to mimic that kind of result?
It's funny you asked that, and it's such a good question, because we spoke about that before our training session this morning, and we went straight back to the Kaizer Chiefs game and went, what did we do well there? What happened for us? What worked? And we started recreating moments on the training ground in relation to that particular game. And we walked off the training ground this morning, and Orlando Pirates better listen to this, because it worked. What I'm trying to say is we walked off the training ground feeling very confident and happy about the outcome and how we want to set up, and hopefully it works. So recreating those game moments, and of course the two teams are very different, but we feel that if we can recreate game moments like that in this particular game, I think we've got a chance. And when you go into a game like this, you have to put your players into confident mode, because it's that kind of approach, and we know what the capabilities and the abilities of every single player are in our team. For us as coaches, it's only about putting it all together and helping them. So we were very happy, to answer your question, coming off the training ground, relating it all to Kaizer Chiefs in that particular game at that time.
Thank you. Benjamin?
Thanks, Batu. Coach, you spoke about Christian Saili a little bit earlier. Excuse me. Can you talk to us about his time there? He seemed to struggle a little bit at his previous club, and he's come here. He looks to be far more comfortable with how Supersport plays, and finding the back of the net a couple of times as well. Just talk to us about him there, the work that's being done with him and Nurkovic up front, and how it's worked for you.
Yeah, thanks. There's a lot of quality in Christian, a lot of quality, and we needed to find the quality when he first came. So we had to have a look at him in different positions and see where he's most comfortable, where he's the best suited, for example. And I mean, if you saw the game against Kaizer Chiefs, he dealt out some really good wing play, and you'll see the goal that he scored there, where he joined in from wider areas, exposing the defense at times, and that's where he's at his best. He's a very strong player, so he's got good hold-up play. He can hold people off, and he's got an eye for goal. What we've discovered is that he bounces off confidence, and if you show belief in a player like that, he's ready and willing to give you his all. So he's going through a little bit of an up and down at the moment, performance-wise, and the job that we have ahead of us is to get him into a consistent mode. And once we do that, I think he's a striker that is going to fire on all cylinders. And I think if he continues like that, with a good attitude, a good mindset, a positive one, I think he's got way more goals in him come by the end of the season.
All right, we'll move on to the embargoed section. So if your hands are still up, I'm happy to point to you. Okay, let's go to Tsepang, the back. So the next session is embargoed for 8 p.m. We literally have about 8 minutes.
Coach,
Hi,
Just want to add on to Njabulo's question about Chandra. How strong is he mentally? Because I mean, being overseas is not easy, and from your side, you've been there. What does it take to stay there for a long period? And I wanted to ask you also about Donne Jansen. He's on loan, but he hasn't had a lot of time on the field. How's he doing? What's it been like for him being on loan there?
Yeah, thanks for the question. When Chandra was still with the club, before he left, and I would find myself having long conversations with him, just about what his intentions were, what his dreams were, and how they were going, for example, because I knew that he was talented enough. He was always talented enough to make the moves, to get the opportunities, and I wanted to understand from him to what extent those opportunities would look like. And he was always very clear in his mind that those opportunities were European-based opportunities. He was looking straight away to European-based opportunities. There was nowhere else that he wanted to go in the PSL. And for me, that shows a proper desire from a young player. Now, when you leave your home country at the age that Chandra is, in 20, at the time when the process originally started, you're not only leaving your teammates, you're leaving your family, particularly parents and siblings if you have to, and that can always weigh heavily on your mental state. You're going to a foreign country, the weather's cold, you don't know what the local people are like, and take it from me, when you go to a foreign country, you have to earn their respect, and it's not easy. It's not easy. So your mental toughness comes into play, and if you don't have that about you, the only thing that weighs on your mind is when can you go back home, and you must never have that in your mind if you want to make it at a level that Chandra wants to make it. So I saw a proper mental toughness in him, even at that stage, and he wanted it so badly, and he's starting to get it. The biggest challenge for Chandra now is to keep it, grab hold of it and keep it, and embrace it, and just follow the dream. Just follow the dream, no matter how tough it gets. And I've got no doubt in my mind that he will do it. He will do it. I think we're going to see Chandra Campbell on the biggest stages of world football for years to come, because I think he's got a very clear and a very solid mindset about how it needs to be done. So what that means is he's prepared to live right, he's prepared to do the right things, eat right, look after himself, work hard at training, find the game time that he needs, challenge people for it, all of those things. And I'm not worried about him. As for Donne, when Donne first came to the club, I was very, very excited about what he could bring, because we saw a really good wing player, sort of from a midfield perspective. It's just that he hasn't been able to crack on. He needs a lot of work on his fitness levels. We've picked that up obviously on the training ground. The natural skill and ability is ridiculous when it comes to Donne Jansen. He's just got to find a perfect balance now in terms of his fitness levels and how he integrates that with his ability to play the game. So we're working on him every day, and he's responding to it, and hopefully his game time will come sooner than later.
Thank you. We have hands here. Can you start with the Karabo quickly?
Good afternoon, Coach.
How you doing?
I'm not sure if Supersport United has got a factory of left-footed players out of the club, goes back to Zongo, then played. There's another one now in the name of Uratelo Mloisa, and I think he's one of the most gifted players. Yeah. Maybe the country is still going to see him. How far is he from maybe not starting games, but being a regular at the football club? Because I think he's one of the most gifted players at the club.
Yeah. First and foremost, love him. Love his attitude. And secondly, in terms of when will he start to play, watch this space. That's all I can say, because he's very close. Very, very close. He's got such an infectious attitude at training, stands up to the biggest players, can take a tackle, and he's willing to take people on, and that's what we're looking for in a winger. There are one or two little components that we are working on with his game, but I think he will perfect that before long. So you're right, there is a bit of a left-footed factory coming out of Supersport United, and we're very, very happy about that.
Temba, due to time, just one question very quickly.
Coach,
Putting under pressure now.
one beautiful thing about this match tomorrow is the youthful element that comes with it. We just saw last night Orlando Pirates playing two young defenders, and you guys, like you are known, you've got quite a youthful side. The youthful element of this match, what does it say about the future of our game and Bafana to be precise, as a Bafana legend this time?
100%. I think the game is in a good space when it comes to the youth development of it and young players coming through. And what I need to say to that is a huge sort of hats off to the coaches of these players, because coaches will tell you they're always under pressure to get results. Now, more often than not, players are going to err on the side of not playing young players and go with more experienced players because they're under pressure to win games. And I think the trust levels are different because experience tells you that they are experienced and they know how to deal with situations. But the fact that coaches are taking chances on these players, and I think, I'm proud that we are one of the clubs that are at the forefront of that. We're not shy to give our young players a chance and put them on the biggest stages. And this is a big stage. This game on the weekend is a big stage, whether it's Pirates young players, Supersport United young players, and I love seeing it. And I know there's pressure on coaches to win games, but I love seeing it. And I think what it does, the message that it does send is that our national team is in a good space because we have something to look forward to and build on. Hugo Broos has put our national team in a fantastic space with the results that we've gotten to date. We're going on to another major competition coming up later in the year, and then there's of course qualification for the World Cup coming up as well. So for our national team coach, it will be an absolute delight to have such a bigger pool of players and how he can integrate the more experienced players that he's got with these young players playing on the biggest PSL stage at the moment. So I love seeing young players come through.
Skipper, just one and quickly.
Yes, there's only one. Coach, in fact, it's good that Temba asked this before I do, because there is a challenge that we continue to have in South Africa, the goalkeeping challenge, and I think it's mostly reflected nicely at your club. Takazani Mbadwa comes in, very good keeper, but he's 28. So I just want you to tell me, what are we not doing right as a country to get this goal? You've just talked about getting young players early and give them a chance, but with goalkeepers, we don't seem to get it right.
I love you. Now you want to talk my language. Thank you. Goalkeeping, absolutely. And I don't know if I've got to be careful how I say this, but I say it with all good intent. The problem we face at the moment is, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that 9 of our PSL clubs have foreign goalkeepers who are first choice goalkeepers, for example. And that is no disrespect to foreign goalkeepers, because I think they do add value to our game. But it is a problem for us as a local South Africa, because we're not placing serious enough. Okay, I'm part of a process that is going to change that. But for now, we are not placing a serious enough focus on developing young goalkeepers coming through. So our youngest goalkeeper, who is a local, who is playing in the PSL at the moment, I stand corrected, is maybe Sipo Chani. I think he's 28, 29. Somebody can correct me. It's not good enough. Where are our 20-year-olds, our 21-year-olds who are playing first-team football for their clubs? So that speaks to a proper lack of development from a goalkeeping perspective. Now, as goalkeeper coaches, and I've been in the goalkeeping game for many, many years, I'm working very closely with Grant Johnson at the moment, who's the current Bafana goalkeeper. We've identified that the problem is not Grant and I going and coaching as many goalkeepers as we possibly can to try and correct that situation, but we have to start coaching as many goalkeeper coaches as we possibly can, so that they can go out and coach young goalkeepers and widen the pool of goalkeepers for selection. We cannot just rely on Ronwin, on Ricardo Goss, on Veli Motwa, for example, on Sage Stevens, who's coming to the squad, on Sibo Chani. we need the younger crop of goalkeepers coming in who can mount a serious challenge for the next 5, 10, 15 years of international football. So that is a serious consideration that we are currently working on.
All right, thank you very much. We'll end it here, Coach.